Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
So, we're all reading the analyses. Where's this, Chris? New York Times.
Yep.
One Democratic fundraiser said, how is it possible we could lose to this guy? It's just malpractice. I mean, I think that's people are having a hard time getting their head. First of all the polls were wrong again, right? I mean, and I think it's just, you're right, to this guy. I mean, but this is the thing, like I was saying, that to me, disinformation is the biggest thing because they just believe him. However many millions of those people believe that he is the one that's persecuted. Every single charge against him is fake news, right? That absolutely they're doing a surgery on trans kids in school. I don't even know what else, right? The border's wide open. All of this stuff that we know provably is not true. But, among the most pronounced changes, Latino men favored Trump by a 10-point margin after they backed Joe Biden by a 23-point spread. Harris held a 25-point edge with Latino women, but that was down 14 points from Biden's 38-point spread. Those of us on our side, I know, have a hard time going, he is the biggest racist. He started and ended this political journey with smearing Latino people. But, yeah. Okay. As I said, though, yesterday, Carl, nobody's for illegal immigration, but obviously our saying he's the one that killed the bill didn't seem to get through, right?
I don't think so. I think many people vote on one issue, and it's the economy.
Yes.
And for the better part of 2 years, we told people who were struggling to pay for groceries, to pay for gas, to pay for healthcare, and all these other things, that inflation was, coming down, and that we had the lowest job rates, in many decades.
All
Both
true.
of those things are true.
All true.
Both of those things are true. But that doesn't change the fact that people were paying more for groceries and other things. And so when you look at focus groups talking about those issues, many people, first of all, we remember, like, most people are not as connected and, deep in the weeds on policy as we are, right? And so most people heard that messaging and thought, what are you talking about? I'm hurting here. Life is expensive. It's more expensive than I remember it being.
Right.
And
they always blame the administration in charge. And in this case, I think Biden or Harris would have suffered the same fate, sadly, because...
They blamed Ford, they blamed Carter. It's historically always been that way.
Yeah. And so some of this is normal politics, but Carl, I think it's because the provable reality that Donald Trump wrecked the economy with his pandemic response, etc., right? Like, inflation, all of that. And Joe Biden fixed it all. That's the irony of this for those of us who are like, oh my God.
But
inflation was back down to the rate before the pandemic.
Right.
We have the lowest jobless rate in 50 years.
But the prices never came back down to match the inflation rate.
That's not Biden's fault. And ironically, only Kamala Harris had a plan for greedflation, for corporate price gouging, which is the real problem.
And I feel like that plan came way too late. Right. I think had Biden been talking about that for 2 years, people who voted on that issue, like, you're never going to get some of these people that voted for Trump because of the other issues. Right. But the people that may have been picked winnable by either side, perhaps if the approach on the economy had been different and it didn't come off as defensive, because, maybe people would have had a different approach on the issue. Because ultimately, what we're going to have to do now in the 2 years ahead is we're going to have to fight the Trump administration as it tries to double down on the things that got us into the mess in the first place. In addition to that, they're going to go after Social Security, they're going to go after Medicare, go after Obamacare, all of these, bread and butter kitchen table issues. They're going to go after and make far worse for the American people. We need to not only point that out, but we also need to explain what we would do differently.
That only makes sense, Chris, just when I get close enough to getting Social Security and maybe meeting someone and getting married. I won't be able to have either of those things.
No, of course not.
Because we cannot officially have nice things. Anymore. Yeah. Not right now. So Trump experienced attrition among suburban white women, carrying 51% of them this year compared with 56% 4 years ago. But still, 51%. of women voted for the rapist. Harris also got a boost from older voters, taking the 60 plus at 50 to 49%. I think they're paying attention to what's going to happen to Social Security and Medicare. What's that?
They're just nostalgic for democracy.
Yeah, they just remember that we fought the Nazis. The Nazis were bad. Despite the candidate's sense of success, 72% of voters said in the NBC exit polls they were either angry or dissatisfied with the state of the country. To your point, Carl, just, I guess anger and fear wins every time over, joy and hope. Whatever, I hate to say it, at least this time it did. I mean, listen, Obama won on hope, and I got to say, Carl, as a woman this morning, this has a lot to do with misogyny, and I hate to say it, but I'm like, now the Democrats have tried a woman twice. I fear when that's ever going to happen again, because, again, we obviously overcame racism enough to elect Barack Obama, but someone pointed to Stacey Abrams, Carl, as an example. They're like, we elected Raphael Warnock, we elected John Ossoff in Georgia, but nope, a black woman was too much in Georgia, I guess. Trump's popularity waned among white voters, actually, while it ticked up among black and Latino voters. So none of this actually makes sense to me. So can you further talk about the racial and sexist part of this?
I think there are some voters who look at Trump and think,
"Uh-oh. Oh no.
Oh.
Carl has done Frozen.
He froze.
Oh, that's a really pretty pose, though. He should have that as his screensaver. He looks handsome. All right.
Oh.
Damn. He was just going to impart some really important wisdom to us.
No, it's not us.
All right.
No, it's not us. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess, do we need to break? Or, you know what? I'm going to...
There he is.
There he is. He's back. Hi,
okay.
Carl. Go ahead.
And that's what we need to do to win.
Carl! That's like the joke about the father dying and the money is buried. Okay.
Okay. Repeat that, please.
I don't know. I don't remember now.
I've forgotten what I was saying.
Oh, I asked you to talk about the racist and sexist aspect of what happened.
So I refuse to accept that it's not surmountable. And
me too.
I think it's going to be a while before we... I think the first step of looking at exit polling is accepting that it's a snapshot and that it's not entirely useful until we overlay it on the actual election. Remember, when we came out of 2016, everybody was saying, this demographic or that demographic went against Hillary. And then when we finally had voting data to match with the exit polling, we were like, well, actually, that's not what happened, right? And so I think we need to see how those things align. But clearly, I think even if Harris had won, there was a clear dynamic throughout the campaign that was misogynistic and racist, not only in how the Trump campaign, prosecuted its campaign against Harris, but also in how the media covered Harris. Holding her to a much higher standard than they held.
And holding him to none. Absolutely. I mean, so you're right. The media is a huge part of this, Carl. But also, I think the theme we always hear in this divided country is they think we look down on them. They don't, they think we're snooty liberal elitists. And again, the irony of that is Democrats have always been the party of the working people. They're the only party that actually does anything to help working people. The fact that they somehow believe this con man, that he's a man of the people who's, into a golden toilet his whole life is one of the things we have to address, right? I mean, I will, I will say one thing in terms of healing. Yeah, I guess I do look down on people that think this idiot, racist, criminal rapist is a good person and qualify and should be president. So I don't know how to heal that divide. Do you?
I think the biggest thing that would fix the issue of how people see these people, these candidates for office, is getting to a point where people accept that who the president is has a very big impact on them personally. Because I think a lot of people, they think all politicians are the same.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
All of them. Republican, Democrat, Independent, they think they are all the same. and that it doesn't matter, right? And so that's why they're so willing to throw one out for the other and what have you.
Yeah.
When it may
because the
have-
media has successfully told them both sides do it. Both sides are exactly the same.
For sure.
Yeah.
But these are also people who are not engaging with the media. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think, again, I lean into encouraging people to get involved locally. It is more pronounced there than it is even at the level of president, where people don't know.
We got to rebuild again. Like, as I said, the work begins anew. We've got to, and that's part of this, is this conversation. Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, very few people engage with the media like we do. Way more people watch TikTok or stuff like that than engage with something like MSNBC.
Yeah.
But
also,
for 5 minutes at the bar,
she did all that. She did all that.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Go ahead, Carl. Sorry.
I think a campaign is a snapshot, right? Mm-hmm. And so what needs to happen is, what is the long arc narrative around our politics and our leaders? That's what matters. It's far longer than a presidential campaign, because those views and opinions get baked in over time, not in the snapshot of a campaign.
Yeah. Carl, thank you for being one of those heroes that we all look up to.
Don't give up. Find joy in something in life and pursue it, and stay engaged. Lick your wounds. We've got 2 months until the transition happens, and we've got to be.
Bonnie and Clyde are like, you are really getting a little needy now. Could you stop kissing us for a second?
There's no denying it. The vibes are really good right now. But vibes alone won't save our democracy. We need votes. At the Grassroots Democrats HQ, we know what it takes to win elections. Knocking doors, making calls, sending texts, and writing postcards. If we're going to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and give them the Democratic Congress to pass their agenda, then we need to roll up our sleeves and talk to a record number of voters between now and November 5th. But let's be clear, we can't do it without you. So, are you ready to work? This is a fight for freedom and our future, and everything is at stake. Don't wake up on November 6th wishing you had done more. Join us. Go to grassrootsdems.org today to sign up to volunteer, and let's go win this thing.